We are excited to be launching our next podcast series, which is interviewing Golden Hoodie winners from around the world who've got amazing trailblazer stories. A Golden Hoodie winner is somebody that Salesforce has recognised as being a true trailblazer, somebody who gives back but also is an expert in their domain. And we can't wait to share these stories with you. Tune in, listen, and be inspired at these amazing stories and give them kudos on social media for everything they've done. And what I would recommend is definitely tune in and follow in their footsteps. Enjoy, and we look forward to getting your feedback.
If your leadership team is pushing you to deploy Agent Force yesterday, you already know the real challenge isn't the AI itself, it's the environment you're building it on. To orchestrate autonomous workflows, you need to feed your agents deep, flawless context about your metadata and business processes. That's why Hubble created the intelligence layer. We give you total operational clarity, telling you exactly how to clean up and structure your org so your AI actually works. Stop guessing. Build Agent Force with absolute confidence at hubble.com.
Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Mums on Cloud 9. This week we're delighted to be continuing our conversations around Golden Hoodie winners and gotta start again. Right. Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Mums on Cloud 9. We're delighted to have you here and we are continuing the discussions with our Golden Hoodie winners. These are amazing people that have done things outside of their normal day job to give things back to the Salesforce community, and we just want to share these stories with you to make you inspired and motivated to really fulfill everything you want to in your career in tech. So today I'm delighted to have Caspar with us today. He's going to be sharing his story about why he got your Golden Hoodie. Part of it, just as a bit of an inroad, is he got his Golden Hoodie in November 2020, and it was actually a virtual Dreamforce event, which was hosted, and he got his Golden Hoodie that way because it was during COVID. So, going back to that time, it wasn't actually in person. So we need to give him an extra pat on the back for obviously not having been there in person with a big stage. Today we give him a bit of love as well because it's nice to be remembering those moments and to sort of get that feeling of being recognised by a whole community. Casper launched RefugeeForce, which is about helping refugees learn technology and relaunch their careers in the tech sector. So you've done an amazing job, Casper. Obviously, an incredible community to support. So thank you for taking that initiative and sort of making it into something that obviously got recognised on a global stage. So I'll hand over to you, Casper. Like, how did that all come about? What gave you the idea, and what did you achieve to obviously get to that level of being recognised?
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. And I'd just like to say, Supermoms was a huge inspiration for me. You've been in the ecosystem for a long time and doing amazing work. And yeah, it inspired me to focus on a different group who also needs support, right? And personally, I'm not a super mom, but I am a super dad, I'd like to think. So I just had a son 11 months ago. So that's also been part of the recent journey.
Oh, bless
And yeah, I think, for me, the Golden Hoodie was a huge surprise, as it is to most people. You get a couple of, cryptic emails here and there, and they say, okay, you need to be here at this point, and they invite you to Dreamforce, and you kind of think what's going to happen, but you don't really know what's going to happen. And for during COVID, it was especially cryptic because it was all virtual. And they sent a package to my house, and they said, "You're not allowed to open this package until the actual event is going on, and we'll tell you exactly when to open it, and you have to be very surprised, and then we can share the news with everybody as we're recording." So it was especially a fun one, and it was also very exciting for me to be recognized for the work that we've done with Refugee Force that now I continue to do.
Amazing. So tell us, like, tell us the journey that you went on with that initiative.
Yeah, I think it's been a long culmination of a couple of different paths for me. So I've been in Salesforce now for 16 years. I started as an accidental admin, as it's called. I didn't know what Salesforce was. This was 2010. I wasn't a techie by any means. I was an anthropology major. And I started building the system from a client point of view. So we had a consultancy working with me to develop this product, and I fell in love right away with Salesforce and what it could do, and I could see all these possibilities, right? And so I've been on that path from admin to consultant to architect over the last 16 years. And I've always believed that it's a great launching point for a career, for a very long-term sustainable career. especially for non-techies, right? So it's brought so much success to so many people. And yeah, there's a great ecosystem behind it. So that's always been my belief, that the community and the ecosystem are actually better and more important than the product itself. The platform is great, but I think the community is what makes it stand out. And I've always wanted to bring more people into that. So we focused on, okay, what is a group that hasn't really had access to this community before. Maybe they don't know that Salesforce exists, but they're struggling to really break into the labor market. So what are those groups, right? And we didn't want to do something that someone else was doing, right? We wanted to do something unique, and so we took a look at the problem of refugees who are in their host countries, sometimes for many years, and they struggle with employment. They struggle with finding any job, but also finding a job that they're excited about, the job that it's going to give them longer career prospects. So not just a day job, not just like low skilled work, but really, yeah, a sustainable career they can build on. And so that was the target group idea. And then the other part was about me being an entrepreneur. So I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was a terrible employee. Like I didn't care about, rising up in the ranks and getting a lease car and like titles. I was really bad at that stuff. So I was always like doing side projects at my work and building stuff on the side and just tinkering with things. And so, yeah, I always wanted to run my own company and run my own programs and do something that was mine. So I think that was a big push for me to say, okay, well, this is something I can do. And so, yeah, those kind of paths lined up with this target group that I wanted to support, and then the idea behind it was very similar to other programs, which is training, professional development, connecting them to employers, and helping as many people break into this wonderful ecosystem as possible.
That's great. And do you know, I've got to first of all say, hats off to you for not opening the parcel, because I would have definitely opened it. I would have peeked in the corner or something. It's always great for us to hear and meet people that are doing these incredible things within their community. So, absolutely hats off to you for that. But looking back over your career, I mean, you've to architect. I mean, what would you say has been like the major challenges throughout your career?
Yeah, I think keeping up with all the changes and understanding exactly how Salesforce has evolved as a product and as a platform is always a challenge. I think the more you know, the less you know, and
That's so true.
it's so broad. So if you're a specialist in this career path and you say, okay, I'm really only going to focus on financial services cloud, for example, and that's my expertise, and you shut everything else out, you might have a pretty easy path, right?
Yeah.
But if you're more open to exploring different parts of the platform, it's never ending, right? It's a never ending thing. There's constant rebranding, as we know, constant product updates. So that becomes hard to keep up with. And especially if you're a consultant, you kind of get placed on projects, so you don't have a lot of options to explore. So yeah, I mean, if we look at Salesforce as it was, from Salesforce Classic to where we are now, there's been a huge amount of changes, and it's really that's a challenge to keep up with and say, okay, this is what I want to focus on. This is where I want to grow in my technical path or functional path. And then, yeah, how do you get there as well? So that's a big challenge. It's a big space, let's say.
Yeah, absolutely. I think finding your niche is pretty important, isn't it? Because otherwise, there's so much to learn.
Get that overwhelmed. So going to talk about challenges. I mean, have you found starting a business? How's that evolved? What's that journey been like? Because I know many people in the ecosystem think, okay, well, I'll start my own thing.
Yeah. Well, I think you've been through this yourself, right, as an entrepreneur, and I've seen all the things that have come about with Supermoms and how you've grown and done different things. So it's not unlike that. So I think when you start a business, it's different than starting a program or a product or a service. Running a business is a totally different thing. And I think for me, what no one told me about being an entrepreneur is the reason why you started is usually the thing you end up doing the least. And so the reason why I started it, because I want to educate people. I want to be in the classroom. I was doing in the beginning, I was doing all the programs myself. I was doing the trainings, I was developing curriculum, and I was in front of all these participants. And now I haven't done that in years, so it's now it's just managing, right, and growing the company. So That's always been a change for me, because you lose kind of the core, the core part, that the reason that you started it. The mission is the same, but the day-to-day has changed a lot. And then I think for us, we're a social enterprise, so we have to keep up with the market. And the market, as you know, has changed a lot. The Salesforce market, Salesforce ecosystem, the IT space in the last 6 years, is almost unrecognizable when it comes to employment and labor trends, pre-COVID, post-COVID. Obviously, everything that's happened with AI, outsourcing, offshoring, nearshoring, all these things that have affected our business and our programs and our participants. You have to keep up with it, and be fast and agile. And we've had to launch some new business models that have grown, some that haven't. We've tried to scale. We've tried different geographies. So yeah, keeping up with the market is always a hard one, especially when Salesforce market moves pretty quickly.
Exactly. Since you go back to the training point, I make an effort to do 2 hours of training with my candidates or clients every week still,
Yeah.
because I love it. But it keeps you in touch with what's going on with them and what they need. And because I felt like at one point I'd stepped away from the training and just doing the management, and you feel like, why am I doing this? You can wear lots of hats, but I think I try and do the 2 hours a week
Yeah.
teaching still. I love it. But yeah, that variety. So it sounds like you've been on a real journey of transformation, obviously learning and developing. What's next for you? Where do you think AI is going to take you?
Yeah, that's obviously the big question on most people's minds. And I read an interesting report today about how, in the Financial Times, around the companies that are investing more in AI are actually hiring more people. And so this I think it's a bit of a fallacy to say, oh, because of AI we'll fire people. I think that's actually more of an excuse than a true business reason. I think if you look at the companies that are growing, that are investing in AI, they're actually hiring more. So yeah, I think that's an interesting one, because in the Salesforce ecosystem, particularly, everyone's a bit like worried, right? And we're thinking about Agentforce. We're talking about Agentforce. The junior roles are under pressure. Things are going offshore. Things are being moved to agents. It's a lot of it's hard to cut away the noise from the frequency in this space. And yeah, I think I've been able to talk to leaders and say, okay, but what's really going on? How are you really looking at AI? How is it affecting, your hiring targets, your growth ambitions? And I think most people are optimistic and they're excited about it, but also you talk to other professionals who are a bit worried and scared. So, and everything in between. So honestly, I'm very optimistic, and I think if you look at the data, as I mentioned, and you look at some companies that are growing and investing in this space, I think it's a very exciting time. But it's a bit precarious, because you don't really know what's going to happen. And I think the technology itself is incredible. So everything from agentic AI to Gen AI and everything. It is a revolution, whether we are excited about it or not. I think it is here, and it's staying. It's not going anywhere. It's only growing. So yeah, I think we just have to just get on board in our own ways and figure out a path to include it in our work. And yeah, I'm optimistic about it, to be honest.
Love that. Love that. And, like you say, you've got to stay relevant to have any chance of getting anywhere, haven't you? But, just for me, so a question that I've got for you is just taking it back to RefugeeForce. I'm sure you've got stories to share amongst the community, but is there anything that really stands out for you? I'd love to know if there's anyone or any couple of people that particularly stand out for you.
Yeah, there's a lot. And if we had a marketing team that could focus on them and make spotlights, they would be busy all day. And so we celebrate as many as we can. But of course, there is one. So Heather, you mentioned about, I wasn't able to be on the stage at Dreamforce because it was COVID, but actually 2 years later, one of our alumni got a golden hoodie, and she was on stage with
Wow.
So Seema, had her incredible journey and a very fast story arc from I don't know what Salesforce is to being, on the stage with Mark Benioff getting a golden hoodie, and then as a developer now at Capgemini. So those are the stories that stick with me. So being able to kind of go from what is this thing, what is this community, what is this platform, to really developing a career path and having something that lasts. And there's a lot of those, not golden hoodies, but there's a lot of those people who've really found their way, and now they have senior roles and they're moving into the architect path. So the evolution of that is really fun to see, starting from scratch and building up a solid career path.
Yeah, and we're so proud of everyone at Super Mums, and I'm sure you're the same. Such a lovely feeling, isn't it?
It is, yeah, especially years later when you see them and they're basically peers now, right? So we talk about, what's going on with Agentforce, and let's talk about this, talk about that. So they're just peers out there doing their thing.
Absolutely. It's like being proud parents, going back to you having a kid. It's like, you're like, oh, I'm so proud they got to. So it's been lovely. Like this week, we've been filming case studies of people that, graduated with us, now work from Salesforce, and just to see where you've got to. So it would have been, I remember seeing, one of your students get that golden hoodie, and it was an amazing story, trailblazer story. So, that's when you're running your own business, but you're giving back. That's the feel good every day, isn't it? It's different to helping a business make more money. It's like,
Right.
you're helping somebody flourish a career. That's incredible sort of giving back and reason for doing what you're doing every day. And I think picking up on the point that you were talking about, where does the career options take you now? For us, we've seen Salesforce just acquire all of these companies. They're acquiring the emerging tech that are competing with them. And so actually the Salesforce ecosystem has just absolutely boomed. And we talk about the ecosystem because it's not just the CRM. We started at the same time, Caspar, 2010, right? There was 4 certifications, one product. Now it's like hundreds of products and the app exchange and everything else. So I'm excited like you. Like there's so many different roles out there. And what was also really nice to hear, and I think again, there's been a lot of scaremongering in the press because the press always take the negative, right, and spiral into things. But like 2 big enterprise companies that were speaking at World Tour were saying about how they've actually retrained their call center staff as managing the agents. So nobody had actually lost their jobs. They'd all been retrained to manage knowledge articles, to, fuel it, to check it was doing all right and doing the quality assurance. So they might not hire more people in the future with a view, but they were expecting higher call volumes and things because of expansion. But obviously their existing team were kind of retrained in the way that the world works. And again, I'm talking to a lot of people who, like solution engineers this week, who work in Salesforce, that people need to check the code, but somebody can't just randomly build a system using it.
Right.
You need to understand what it's doing. And the fact is that we get the backlog done a hell of a lot quicker than we used to. That's the benefit of AI.
Definitely.
So yes, there might be, with AI, you've got agents helping you do things that necessarily you don't want to do. But I think Salesforce has bought all of these products and all these integrations that the ecosystem, the size of the job market and the career paths and the products has absolutely, I mean, I don't know, in terms of like, it's not just doubled, it's tripled, it's quadrupled. You've got this amazing ecosystem that didn't exist when we started. kind of.
Oh, not at all. I mean, the
So,
Trailhead didn't even exist.
yeah, and I think going back to your point, let's echo some of the key points you've mentioned. Focus on your niche because otherwise you get overwhelmed and lost and actually not a specialist in anything, which means that you don't necessarily land the job if you're not a specialist in something. And I think that, building out your expertise, focusing in your lane, getting to know a product that's constantly evolving is in itself enough, right? You kind of, developing that. And I think that's where the future lies. It's just really focusing on those products that you enjoy, that you like selling, that you like working with, because the ecosystem is vast now, isn't it, really? But you mentioned earlier that you've also, you're expanding different training courses and things at the moment. Where are you focusing other efforts and what are you looking to upskill people in?
Yeah, so it's a good point about what is needed now as a professional. And I think one thing that sets people apart from AI or vibe coding applications is their professional background, but also their soft skills or their power skills, right? So leadership, communication, teamwork, those things are always in demand. And we see a lot of diverse teams who struggle to work together, and they struggle to really build efficient applications or connect with the business and all of those things. So we do a lot of training around this idea of how do you work as a team, how do you develop those professional skills so that you're more valuable than just your technical abilities. So that's one thing we've invested a lot in over the last couple of years is more power skills, soft skills training. because that helps people stand out from the tens of thousands of other people who have the same certifications as you.
Yeah.
So that's one area. I think the other area is it's not, you can't just know Salesforce anymore. So enterprise companies, even medium and large size companies, the IT landscape is also booming and expanding. So it's not enough to say, okay, I know Salesforce really well, but because they're using so many other systems, you need to keep up with the other systems as well, right? And so understanding kind of the landscape of a company that you want to work for, that you're applying to, I think is really important to say, okay, I do Salesforce, but I also know MuleSoft, and I also know Topdesk and ServiceNow. You have to have much more than just Salesforce these days. So we've invested a lot in other enterprise platform training programs. So we became an AWS partner, so we do AWS trainings. We're working with ServiceNow on the Rise Up program to also deliver programs, and then also trying to work more with OutSystems as well. And so then we can basically blend our curriculum to say, okay, here you'll come out of our program with 2 or 3 different tools, right? Or if you do Salesforce and then you go to the job market, you can come back to us for a ServiceNow training or an OutSystems upskilling course, so they can keep up, so our alumni can keep up with the changes at the company and the changes in the IT landscape.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? With ServiceNow, it's that cybersecurity level,
Yeah.
in that AI command center they've got, and Amazon with the integration capability and the data storage, like all of those things really complement each other, but say that will get people to those architect, more senior roles, that exist in the ecosystem as well. Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been lovely to hear your journey and obviously everything that you've been doing along the way. And just remember all those amazing stories. Really, you need a full-time marketing person shining a light on all these incredible people you've got at
Love a
home with you.
story.
Oh no, it's great. Well, thank you so much. We'll be sharing the show with you. There'll be podcast notes in there. Please do connect with Gaspar on LinkedIn. Thank you for joining us, Lynn, again today as well, and delighted that you could join us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Gaspar. Nice to meet you. Take care.
Me too. Bye.